What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the Week 6 college football betting preview presented by Draftkings. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-host, Colin Wilson. A lot to get to today. We will go through 5 marquee games. We'll hit a bunch of others in the marquee games section, talk some injuries. There will be plenty of trash. And we'll get to some Friday Night Lights, talk our favorite favorites, favorite underdogs, and much more. Colin, I was happy to. It was our worst week on the agree board that we've ever had, so I was happy to erase last week. It was one of those weeks where my strongest convictions were off. So, but in September, that'll happen. You learn a lot about teams when they don't play anyone, and then they finally step up and play somebody. You really get a feel for who they are, because you can trick a lot of people with soft schedules. So saw that in a couple games last week, but I'm ready to move on to this week. I didn't love the card at first, and it has really grown on me as the week has gone on. Are you excited to get into it?
I have the same feeling. It's like everybody, I think last week I was like, nothing can top this week. This next week is going to be a dread. And then I start realizing, like, I think Cincinnati's for real. I think Vanderbilt has a shot again. I think there's some overlook in a couple of teams. Notre Dame, Boise State is a playoff knockout. I know the spread's huge, but it's still a playoff knockout. We still have 2 service academies going against each other. I think this is actually a really good week of football. I think it's going to be a great data point.
It's always fun. I mean, college football, whenever you think it's going to be an underwhelming card, it always ends up surprising. Like, I'm looking forward to Miami at Florida State.
Yep.
Texas at Florida. There's so much intrigue there. Like, the Napier storyline. What is Lagway going to look like after the bye? What is Arch going to look like? They're both going up against really good defenses. The total is down 10 points. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this card. We'll get in to all of it, but before we get started, a couple quick reminders. If you use Twitter, make sure you check out Playbook. You can use that Playbook, the new betting bot from Action. Just you can turn your screenshots into a bet slip, or just reply, "Hey, Playbook, create this bet slip for me," or just tell it, "Hey, bet slip, I want this." "Hey, at Playbook, I just want this." It is so easy. Create the slip for you, create the link at whatever book, and you just click it. It'll take you right to your book, and you don't have to go searching, whether it's player props, a parlay. So check it out. I use it all the time. It's very convenient. We'll also have a quick slip link in the video and podcast description where you can find and tail some of the bets we discussed in today's episode, or you can visit actionnetwork.com/betnow. Also, if you want to hear me ramble some more, if you're not already sick of me, I have a couple other podcasts. Now that a new co-host of the Favorites podcast, which has returned with a new lineup, episodes Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I did my first solo pod on Sunday. Also do some episodes with Kendra Middleton, Brandon Kravitz, bet stories, fun stuff that all centered around the NFL. And then Action Network podcast, myself and Chris Raybon preview the entire NFL slate. That episode comes out on Wednesday. And one final announcement before we do dive into all these games. I'll throw to myself for a quick word from Draftkings. The Big Bets on Campus podcast is sponsored by Draftkings, and in partnership with Draftkings, we'd like to announce the next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. That's right. New customers turn $5 into $200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. To get started, use promo code BBOC when signing up. Again, that's code BBOC to get on board. The crown is yours. All right, let's get right in to our marquee games of the day. Let's start where we just talked. Texas, Florida. So Texas visiting Florida. Texas is anywhere from 6.5 to a 7-point favorite. Total has come way down to 42.5.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up reluctantly playing Florida here. I took the 7. So when I look at these teams, here's my thinking on this. Like, I don't show huge numbers edge. I show just a tiny bit of value in Florida. both these offenses have been ugly. Both of these defenses have been elite. So why do I like Florida here? Well, I think that there's a higher probability that Lagway benefits more from the bye week than Arch does. Why? Well, we know for a fact that Lagway was hurt in the offseason. We know for a fact that he didn't get to work with his receivers. And we've seen him produce at a high level against SEC caliber defenses before. So we don't know if Arch is hurt. He did get to work with his receivers. And we haven't really seen him produce through the air. So, why I can believe that Lagway is going to come at, maybe he's healthier. Mm-hmm. Maybe he gets more timing down with his receivers. And it looks like Dallas Wilson's going to play. Dallas Wilson, 5-star freshman, had 10 catches for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns in the spring game. And we've seen how good this Florida defense has been. So there's a lot of upside here for Florida that they might look more functional on offense. Texas is running more man. I think that's good. The more middle of the field closed. I think that's good for Lagway. With Wilson in the lineup, they might actually be able to bring the deep pass back. It's amazing. It's disappeared from their offense. It was a strength last year. And I just haven't seen it from Arch to trust laying 7 on the road here. I mean, this is a kid that was 11 of 24 at home against UTEP for 130 yards with a touchdown and a pick. This Florida defense has been feisty against everyone. This is also an enormous strength of schedule disparity. Texas strength of schedule around 150 in the nation. Florida is number 2 overall. So at home in the swamp after the bye, I don't expect Florida to quit. This might be their last hurrah. If they don't win this game, it might be the last hurrah for old Billy Napier. They'll also have a slight special teams edge per my numbers. And the total is super low. Points should be at a premium. For what it's worth, Napier's 26-14 against the spread as an underdog, 65%, covering by about 5 points per game. 8-4 against the spread when catching at least a touchdown against SEC teams. Really should be 9-3 if Lagway didn't throw 5 picks against LSU. So one final thing here is that if you look at Texas's defensive numbers under the hood, they all look elite, right? But they did face Ohio State in a game where Ohio State didn't really try to do much, and it was Saints' first start. And then since then, they've played a bunch of clowns. But their defense is supposed to be really good. It is elite. But maybe there's a chance that it's a bit overrated because of that, and because of the lack of strength of schedule. But if you look, where's a weakness in their defense? It's against 12 personnel. They have not been good against 12 personnel. You're going to get a lot of that from Florida. So I took the points here. This a lot of uncertainty with how these quarterbacks are going to look. And it could come down to who makes fewer mistakes, which does worry me a bit about Lagway. But I'm going to trust Florida in the spot at home in the swamp. What do you see here?
Well, I make it 6, so I couldn't get on the side. I was really interested in the total and how it was dipping. I didn't know if that was injury related. I didn't know if that was weather related. And I really kind of wanted to sit back. And I did my homework earlier this week and wrote it up for Action Network. And, what the defenses have done to this point has really been amazing. I don't believe in Arch. I mean, I get it. You had 7 red zone trips against Sam Houston, 5 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Is that supposed to convince me that this 84th overall in finishing drives and this consistent red zone issue that Steve Sarkisian has, that all of a sudden it's going to be fixed because you had a game against Phil Longo?
I mean, not only that, even outside the 20, Arch is struggling to move the ball against the.
Yeah, they should be.
And everything looks off.
Yeah, everything looks off. The strength of the Longhorns is absolutely what Kwiatkowski's doing with the defense in the 3-3-5. Top 15 overall in success rate, best defense in the nation when it comes to limiting quality drives and rush explosives. I just don't expect much from Florida here on the ground. We'll see, what Dallas Wilson's going to do. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I think Florida needs to kind of find an identity themselves. The last thing I'll mention about the Texas D is that they're 7th in hard stops, and that is a PFF stat that says a complete failure by the offense. If you can tackle in space in the second level, you get a stop. I think that's really important because I'm not sure Florida's going to be able to create any explosives unless we see something we haven't seen before from a 5-star freshman.
Yeah.
Lagway, his numbers in that last game against Miami were, I get it, he didn't have a turnover-worthy play, and that's what we're looking for. But his average depth of target was 3.7 yards. It's like he didn't create a big-time throw. Billy Napier didn't allow him to do a thing to screw up. When you're throwing for 3.7 yards, it's tough to screw up. And I think going up against Miami, maybe it was more of those, I need Lagway to have a clean mental health billing going into the bye week than anything else. But, in passing downs against Miami, 2.7 yards per play, they went 12 of 23 overall passing. I know it was 5 interceptions. This is against LSU. This was a step up, not to commit a turnover-worthy play against Miami. But at the same time, I just don't see this offense doing anything. They're going to have to need every single yard after first contact from Jaden Ball, who right now is 4 yards after first contact. They're going to need all of that against
But if they just hit a couple explosives to Dallas Wilson, you don't need much in this game to cover with a total of 41.5.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think it's going to come late. And the reason I think it's going to come late, by the way, the Gators defense, another thing that I love about their stat box, 18 possessions they've allowed to cross the 40-yard line. Only 10 of those have made it into the red zone.
They've done it against the second hardest schedule in the country.
And think about it. Most teams get stiff in the red zone. They get stiff after the 40. Only half of those drives across the 40 even made it to the 20.
They're doing it without getting any pressure, because that's the one weakness of their defense.
Here's the one thing that I bet. I wrote it up on Action. Just blow it for everybody. I took a first quarter under. I took a first half under. These defenses are so elite. Texas hasn't allowed anyone to score on them in the first quarter, and they did play Ohio State. But Florida's only given up a TD in the first quarter, period. That's it. 7 points, 1 TD, and it was given up to Miami. They played LSU. They played South Florida. That's it. These teams are so good in the scripted portion.
Also played Long Island, who has a road FBS win this year against Eastern Michigan.
The Sharks. So, listen, combined, these teams have given up 7 points in the first quarter. I played under 7.5 in the first quarter. I played under 21.5 in the first half. That's down to 20.5. I think what's interesting about this, to say stuff that I think there's going to be scored in the second half, that first half total is still 20.5, and the overall game total has trickled from 40.5 up to 42, 42.5. So I think it's a slow starting game. And then I think you're right. I think Florida figures a couple things out in the second half, and maybe Sark finds the red zone here and finds some play calling down by the 20. But I like the first half under. I love the first quarter under.
All right, I'm rolling with the Gators. Chomp chomp. Plus need 7 here though. All right. There's some cheap 7s out there right now too.
Agree. I think it's going down.
Yeah, I think it'll close lower than 7. All right. Let's stay in the state of Florida. Miami at Florida State. Florida State is a 4.5 point home underdog. Total 54.5. Over took some money this morning. This is another game I bet the dog. I took the 4.5. I don't show a huge edge number. I make it a field goal. So, and look, I have Miami as the 5th best team in the country. Is there a chance we're overrating Miami? It's possible, right? One thing we're not overrating is they're playing the trenches. Yeah. I think, you go.
Let me throw this stat in. All the mobile quarterbacks they've faced, they've given up 10 net rushing yards to those mobile quarterbacks. So they are owning the trench.
Yeah, their offensive line is one of the best in the country. Their defensive line is 2 of the best defensive ends with Messidor and Bain. But I have them a top 5 team in the country. I downgraded Florida State slightly after last week, even though they should have won that game. What do they have, 60, 70% post-game win probability?
Mm-hmm.
Might have been caught peeking ahead a little bit. But I only have them as a field goal favorite here. And this is their first road game of the year.
Yep.
And look, they have looked impressive. Miami has looked impressive. But even when I adjust for opponent, their offense doesn't look amazing. So, for a top 5 team. And they did get to play CJ Carr at home in his first ever road start. They played South Florida in probably the worst situational spot of the entire season, when they just had nothing left after 2 ranks. So
you beat Florida.
It was broken.
Yeah, USF beat Florida, and for them as a program was so big they didn't care about going down to play Miami.
Yeah, and they were exhausted. They beat Boise before then, and Miami was coming off of a bye. So they've had some breaks in the schedule with when they've played teams that might be inflating their actual power rating number a bit. But I have them in top 5, but I still show value in Florida State. And this is Beck's first road game with Miami. What you want to look at Beck's home road splits from last year? Last year at Georgia, Beck at home was at 25 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. On the road, his completion percentage dropped by 10%. He had a 3-7 touchdown to interception ratio and a sack rate that more than doubled. So he looked rough on the road. So maybe this offense doesn't look as smooth in Tallahassee in front of a raucous crowd. I think that with these ends, these menaces on the end, and Bain and Mestor, like having this misdirection and this Malzahn offense can actually work in Florida State's favor. I think they can move the ball here. So this is mainly a numbers play in addition to Mario. Mario's going to mess up one of these games, and I think it might be this one. For what it's worth, as a road favorite of at least a field goal against Power 4 teams, Mario's 16-26 against the spread, 38%, failing to cover by about 4 points per game on average. He's 4-12 against the spread in league games as a road favorite in the ACC. Failing to cover by 9 points per game, 29% against the spread. Meanwhile, Norvell, 7-1 against the spread, 87.5% as a home dog against ranked teams, covering by about 9 points per game. Literally the complete opposite of Mario. He's won 4 of those 8 outright. The only one he didn't cover was that fluky loss at Clemson. Oh my God, I'm still pissed about that bet. In a game that they should have won. He's been nails as a dog. I think just in-game decision-making edge to Florida State here. So I took the 4.5. I think the Noles going to have a really, really good shot of pulling off this upset. I think this goes right down to the wire. I'm still not sold on Miami's kicker either. Davis hasn't missed yet, but I'm still not sold. What are you seeing here?
He hasn't missed, but I'm not sold.
I mean, he's like 4-4.
Yeah. Crazy Mario's in the top 20 in middle 8. I didn't expect that. I made the game 4, so I wasn't able to get in on the side this week, but I wanted Florida State the entire time. I just thought we might get a little bit better number after what happened against Virginia. And I think the Virginia game is a pause for concern if you want to take on the Seminoles. But, this, I think offensively.
By the way, Florida State is a team that dominated Alabama at home still. And
yeah.
Alabama has looked pretty good since. So we have to give them credit for that win. And that was at home, and they look great. And I think
it was a complete effort issue on Alabama's part. A complete effort issue. But listen,
they still get a lot of credit. They dominated that game.
Yeah, well, so I think there's going to be this is a tougher game. I mean, this is the most disciplined offense in the Cristobal era. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. You're going to put this Miami team on the road for the first time. Right now, they're 6th in havoc allowed. I can't remember a Miami team that's been this safe on offense, especially with Cam Ward under center. Right now, we're 6th in havoc allowed. They're top 20 in success rate, finishing drives, pass play. I could just go on and on about how great this offense has been. And I think the defense has been even better. I mean, Corey Heatherman has just been fantastic against mobile quarterbacks, like I said before. I think it's worth noticing. The reason I want to play Florida State and I haven't, and the reason I'm playing the over, this tackle grading is falling for Miami week after week. I mentioned it on the last pod that there were some concerns in the USF box score that maybe the tackling wasn't as good as we thought. Against Notre Dame, they missed 7 tackles. That's really good. And then they missed over a dozen against USF. In the last 2 games against USF and Florida, they've missed 32 tackles. The tackling is going the wrong way for Miami right now. And if Florida State is able to get into the back half of that secondary, get around Ruben Bay and get around those edges, then it could be a problem. Now, for Florida State, their offensive line is ranked number 1 right now in line yards. I mean, this is going to be a huge battle in the trench. Tommy Castellano's problem, him and Gavin Sawchuk, the problem is they run inside zone, and Miami's just putting up elite numbers against inside zone, 62% success rate, and defending it. So you think Castellanos is going to have to go to the air. So I went as deep as to look as what Miami usually runs with their nickel defense. What do they run? Cover 3. What does Tommy Castellanos absolutely destroy? Cover 3. I went to this year's stats. I went to last year's stats. 58% success rate against cover 3 with a 25% explosive play rate. He likes facing cover 3. So if you look at the fact that Beck has dominated quarters coverage, which is what FSU plays, Castellanos has dominated cover 3, which is what Miami plays, and you throw in a growing missed tackle rate by Miami, and the fact that the FSU defensive line got thrown around by Virginia last week, I took over immediately at the beginning of this week. I want to get in with you on Florida State. I probably will, because I'm
on the board or no?
Yeah, let's put it on the board, because I don't think 4 is going to be there when this closes.
Yeah, I think it closes 3.5, 4. All right, FSU on the board. Let's head back to the SEC. Oh, baby. We got a good one. between Vanderbilt and Alabama and Tuscaloosa. Alabama 10.5-point favorite, total sitting around 55.
You can't put this game in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, this game, I mean, look, there's so many angles to attack here. Alabama with revenge from last year. They're coming off the Georgia game. Just like last year, they came off the Georgia game and then lost at Vanderbilt as 23.5-point favorites. That was at Vanderbilt. Now they're only laying 10.5 at home. Vanderbilt is
we got our boy Johnny on the sidelines for Vanderbilt.
Yeah. It's I can't wait for this game. Pavia as an underdog. Like, I won't bet Alabama here. Right. I won't lay 10.5 against Pavia. Pavia is 16-4 against the spread with 12 straight up wins. At Vandy, he's 6-0 against the spread as a road underdog. He's won 4 of those 6. Again, that's against SEC teams. 4 of those 6 outright. Then you have DeBoer, his teams who have struggled consistently, and this goes back to the Saban days, with mobile quarterbacks. You look at all the losses they've had. It's all mobile quarterbacks. All of these non-traditional offenses. Well, that's what Vandy runs. DeBoer is a double-digit underdog, has lost 4 times outright. That's the same number of times that Saban did it throughout his entire career in Tuscaloosa. He is 1-4 against the spread as a double-digit favorite away from home, though. But he is 5-2 against the spread as a double-digit favorite at home. A lot of Alabama's issues have come on the road in recent seasons. I assume that Bama will be focused here. They want blood from last year, but is there some sort of mental letdown after the physical letdown after the Georgia game? There's so much to break down. If I adjusted for opponent, I have Vandy's offense is like one of the 5 best in the country. Their offense has been unbelievable. Now, they haven't played the best competition, but I'm adjusting for that, and it's through the roof. So,
how are you 31 seconds per play and scoring over 50 points? It's amazing.
So, I would lean. So, look, Bama can't run the ball. It's a problem. They can't run the ball against anyone. And they've been horrific in that aspect. Vandy's run D is much better than their pass D. So, I think Alabama's going to come out here and attack through the air. I think they should have success doing that. And I think Vandy can have success against this Alabama defense. Like, I still maintain that the Alabama corners are overrated. I know everyone loves them. They're going to be without a key linebacker. We saw Georgia run all over Alabama. Alabama's run defense looks a little vulnerable. They have struggled with these mobile quarterbacks and non-traditional offenses. So I think Vandy can put up points. Now, will Vandy just go super even slower and like more run heavy to just shorten the game? That's my one concern about the total, because I definitely lean over. Like, I think Bama's going to get its points. I think this Vandy offense is real. Sadly, I make the game 10.5. So, like, I'm right on market here. I was shocked. Just with so many factors. Like, I thought that I might have value in this game. I think it's going to be a great live betting game. I might take Vandy pre. Like, here's the thing: if Alabama wins the toss, I mean, if Alabama gets the ball first, I think they're going to go down and score. DeBoer is so good early in these games, so then they go up 7-0.
Yep.
And then I can get a better number with Vandy. But I also trust this Vandy staff, who's so good in the scripted portion, that if Vandy gets the kick, I think they might go down and score. So I don't know. I might play this live. I think Vanderbilt has a shot, but I do expect Bama to be buttoned up. I do expect them to move the ball through the air. I can't wait for this game. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Ty Simpson, clean windows. We do like that. I think, by the way, I just put it in the app while you were talking about it. I love the over in this game too. I project the total at 59.5, so that's above the key of 55. There are a couple of 55s out there right now. DraftKings 55.5, but you could buy it for 10 cents, back down to the key of 55. I think what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, how did Vanderbilt win this game last year? 90 hidden yards that boosted their average starting field position to the 31.
They also controlled the ball the entire game.
Multiple methodical drives, limited Alabama to none. Alabama had 2 turnovers that included a Jalen Milroe interception. Alabama was stuffed on 50% of their 19 carries. Alabama and this is the whole thing with the yards per play, right? I mean, usually yards per play is a big factor in post-game win expectancy. Alabama 8.8 yards per play to Vandy's What was it, 5.6? And that's why I said you can't put this game in a spreadsheet. You just can't line these numbers up and say automatically that Alabama is going to whip them, because I think you're absolutely right. Vandy with Diego Pavia and Cedric Alexander run all man and inside zone. Bama defensively has been horrible and dominated by inside zone so far this year. 41% success rate. They couldn't defend it against Georgia. They haven't been able to defend it all year. Bama's strength is against outside zone and power concepts. Vandy doesn't run outside zone. It is all Alexander and Diego up the middle and inside zone. And that is a huge problem for Alabama's defense. So, Alabama, I think the other thing too is like the red zone numbers are kind of skewed. They have the least amount of red zone attempts by opponents. It's close. There's like a couple people lower than them, but they've only had 6 the entire year. And of those 6 red zone trips by their opponents, 5 have been touchdowns. That's not good. So I think Alabama is completely vulnerable. I think the fact that Diego and Cedric run this massive amount of inside zone, and Bama has not been able to defend that against FSU. They were not able to defend that against Georgia. I think Alabama is in trouble. So, it's one of those things where the spreadsheet spits out, the number should be 13.5. Can I take 10.5? Like I should. This is the same problem I had last year. And then hidden yards, special teams, methodical drives. You can't put this game in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean, I make it 10.5. The vibes say Vandy, but I might have a little piece pregame and then wait to trade this live. Like, because if Alabama gets the ball, goes down and scores, I'm going to bet Vandy live.
Okay, but
if Vandy gets the ball first, goes down and score, I'm probably going to bet Alabama live.
What's our remember our stat, right? Kalen DeBoer has won every first quarter in every game as the Alabama coach, except for one team, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So I'm a little scared to wait on our Alabama first quarter bet, on this one.
Yeah. I don't mind your over for sure. That's the way it's over or nothing. All right, let's head to the Big 12. Cincinnati off of a big win against Kansas. Small home favorite against Iowa State. I love Cincy here. I played Cincy, one of the first bets I made this week.
See, I went the other way. I took team total over.
I could see that. So basically, when you look at Iowa State, they had an impressive win over Arizona last week, but it was just a lot of pass explosives. Like, I'm not sure how consistent of a form of offense that can be for this team that lost a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. Although the Cincy defense, their pass defense isn't great.
Right.
But I don't think Iowa State's going to have much success running the ball. And by the way, Dante Corleone, future pro, I believe he will be back this week, their best defensive lineman. This Cincy offense is on fire. Mm-hmm. I mean, no matter how you slice it, this has been a top 20 offense this season. Their new wide receiver room is really coming into form. Brendan Sorsby is playing unbelievable football. And he's going to go against an Iowa State defense that will be without its 2 all Big 12 corners that they lost for the year to ACL injuries, which just massive losses. And Jontez Williams and Jeremiah Cooper. Dominic Orange, their future pro on the interior defensive line, he's going to play, but he's banged up. And that's massive. Like, he commands all the attention. And this is an Iowa State team that gets no pressure. Among all Power 4 teams, the only teams who get less pressure are North Carolina and UCLA, who might win a combined 3 games this year. So Iowa State's not getting any pressure. Since he's tackles...
Are we betting both North Carolina and UCLA this week? We'll save that for the rest of the pod.
We'll save that for trash. So since he can be a bit vulnerable at their tackle positions at times, but Iowa State's not going to exploit that. What Iowa State's been super reliant on is sticky coverage on the back end, disciplined in their 3-3-5 stack. Well, now they're going to be without 2 all Big 12 corners. I think they're going to see the effects of that, and I think Cincy will be able to move the ball here. Additionally, the Cincy defensive coordinator came from Iowa State.
Yep.
He was there for 7 years, linebacker coach, defensive coach. They run very similar defense. Sorsby gets to practice against it. There's no surprise. A lot of times Iowa State has an advantage with how they run their D. They catch teams off guard. That's not going to be the case here. Now, Iowa State will know, on the flip side, we'll know what Cincy's running. But I trust the Cincy offense and their weapons more than Iowa State's offense right now. And it's worth noting that Iowa State has kicker issues. Didn't matter last week because they blew out Arizona, but their kicker and their kickoff specialist are out. So that could come to rear its ugly head in a close game. There's also some late down regression that could work in Cincy's favor here. They're third nationally in early downs EPA, but they're only 38% on third downs. While Iowa State, much worse early down offense, they're converting 50% of their third downs. They're also 5 of 5 on fourth downs, and their opponents are only 4 of 12. So they've been pretty fortunate in a lot of late down stuff. And look, I know Matt Campbell's been great as a dog. He's 27-15 against the spread in league play, but he's just 3-7 as a dog, as a short underdog when the spread is 3 or less, for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
That special teams issue in a close game could override Satterfield's struggles there. But I think the Cincy offense is going to move the ball, and I think they're going to get it done at home and upset Iowa State. Keep in mind, every Iowa State win has aged worse. You know, starting with Kansas State, who was not the team we thought. South Dakota, way down, way worse than FCS people thought. You know, we'll see what happens with Arizona, who hasn't played anyone yet. Iowa, okay, that's fair, but I mean, they won that game by 3 at home. It's not like Iowa's been world beaters. So, and then who else did they beat? Oh, Arkansas State, who they arguably should have lost to on the road. That's their only road game. Arkansas State is getting drilled every week in the Sun Belt. This resume is a lot. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I have a lot of respect for Campbell, a lot of respect for Rocco Beck. He's not going to make this easy, but I like Cincy.
I like Cincy too. I struggled with my bet this week when I started doing some box score diving. And so Iowa State crushed Arizona and the offense was absolutely electric. But when you go and look, and I'm not just saying read the box score, but go and look at what Iowa State did. And I kind of think that Matt Campbell put this crap on tape because he knew he was facing Tyson Vade this week. He knew he was facing his old defensive coordinator. So he put things on tape like a direct snap to the tight end on a 2-point conversion. Benjamin Brahmer got handed off the ball, the 6'7" tight end, and threw a 45-yard TD pass. And then both Campbell and Benjamin Brahmer come out in the interview later and say, oh yeah, that wasn't even my first read. Like, the tight end is throwing a 45-yard pass the week before you're facing your old defensive coordinator. So I'm sure Cincinnati's watching that tape like crazy, trying to figure out what this offense is going to do. But it's same old Iowa State offense. 61% of offensive snaps have been in 12. 13% have been in 13 personnel. Hell, they've ran 6% of plays in 14. This is Iowa State to a T, what they've always wanted to be. And then I kind of soured on Cincinnati because they had a 24% post-game win expectancy against Kansas. Kansas and Jalen Daniels had 2 drives that were just one play, an explosive pass each to Emmanuel Henderson that were like 75 and 93 yards. Dante Corleone didn't play last week, so I don't, I
think he's playing. I'm pretty sure.
And so Satterfield said this week, the only thing he would say, I think on Wednesday, he said he's trending in the right direction. That still makes me a little bit nervous that there could be a scratch on Saturday. We'll see. But the Bearcats did struggle to create a pass rush without the Godfather. So that does make me a little bit...
They're not getting elite pressure. They're like bottom 20 among Power 4 teams. Better than Iowa State. But I do think Corleone is important, super important.
Right.
I've been told he's going to play, so we'll see.
When you go to the other side of the ball, there's nothing fraudish about this offense. I mean, Sorsby's 10-1 TD to INT. His turnover-worthy play rate is 1.5%. That's tiny. Elite zone read concepts with Tawi Walker and Evan Pryor. I just didn't think that was possible with Tawi Walker. He's never shown anything in his prior stops to say that he could do this. But right now, they are top 3 nationally in rushing success rate and line yards. They are owning the trench. They are heavily in standard downs all the time. Iowa State's 3.35. If they don't have big citrus, if Orange isn't there, I mean, they held Arizona to 5 yards per play, no explosives against Fafita. But if this defense is missing the interior, now 2 corners are gone, it's a completely different ballgame. Iowa State's defense rush EPA is now 6th, but a lot of that is running cover 2 because they force their safeties to come up and help. It's not really the defensive line. I'm not sure you can do that against Sorsby and his arm. To me, Corleone makes all the difference. I want to know that he plays before I back Cincinnati. So my bet this week on Cincinnati was over 27.5 team total because that offense is legit. That zone read concept with Walker and Pryor is insane. I mean, 3rd nationally in success rate and line yards. You can count me in on the Bearcats offense getting their share of points.
All right, let's head back to the SEC. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is a team to watch. A team that is flying under the radar that could make noise in the college football playoff.
Yep.
I loved what I saw from Elko and that defense last week. Some of the tweaks that he made coming out of the bye. This spot screams A&M to me. Just on the surface, this Mississippi State off the heartbreaking overtime loss. This is their sixth straight week of playing. Texas A&M will be much fresher. Mississippi State's defense, they have some late down regression coming. I think they're going to get torched here. Yep. I like what I see from Texas A&M's defense. So I like the Aggies here. What do you see?
I absolutely agree. And it's no disrespect on Miss State. I still think they're pretty good. I think they're due to get their clock cleaned. I mean, they're still not producing a pass rush, which is kind of needed here. Tennessee, despite that game being so close, they still completed 10 passes of 15 yards or more. That's a lot. I mean, Mississippi State gave up a lot of explosives, as you probably should against Tennessee. But Tennessee doubled the national average in explosive drive rate. Well, guess what? I mean, Texas A&M can do the same thing with Craver and Concepcion. And if you look up the box score.
And they're going to dominate their offensive line is going to dominate the line of scrimmage.
Yes. If you look in the box score, 16 targets for Tennessee went to Mike Matthews and Chris Brazell. Those are both lined up at wideout, and they went for 223 yards. Who's the wideouts that we should be looking at? If you're looking for a prop bet here in this game, Craver is pure slot. I mean, he's an animal, maybe the best in the business. But Casey Concepcion, Terry Bussey, and Ashton Bethel Roman, they're the ones that line up at wideout all the time. I think they might be worth a prop here. The Texas A&M defense deserves mention because I kind of dogged on them a couple weeks. They allowed just a single explosive pass to Auburn and Jackson Arnold. The Tigers averaged 3.1 yards per play. The Texas A&M defense finally showed up. I mean, that rank of 118th in tackling, they only missed 6 against Auburn. I think it's trending in the right direction. To me, the Texas A&M defense is trending in the opposite direction of the Miami defense. So I think they've turned the corner. I legitimately, I have a 50-1 national title ticket from the day after the national title. I'm legitimately wondering if I need to be making, I think they're minus 110 to make the playoff, somewhere around there. Like, A&M's got legs. I mean, legs to run in the postseason. They really.
I got some plus 270 to make the playoff.
I mean, what do they not? If the defense improves and you've got Craver and Concepcion
and that offensive line and run game,
this is a problem.
And good special teams.
This is a national problem for everybody.
All right, let's hit some. I put A&M on the board, by the way. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's hit to the rundowns. A couple games here. Boise State at Notre Dame. Notre Dame 20.5 point favorite. Shout out to a friend of the show, Tim Murray. I saw tweeted this out earlier. Since Freeman arrived at the start of the 2022 season, Notre Dame is a national best 30, 14, and 2 against the spread. But they're just 4 and 6 against the spread against G5 teams, including 1 and 6 against the spread versus unranked G5 teams with 2 outright losses, lost to Marshall and NIU. My numbers say there's value on Boise. No thanks. Leonard Moore should be back. I don't know how Boise's going to get a stop. And Notre Dame knows right now.
Yep.
2 losses, style points matter.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm playing Notre Dame because my numbers, but I'm not playing Boise here because they're not going to get a stop.
Yeah, shout out to Tim.
Notre Dame's not going to stop.
Shout out to Tim for 1,000 text messages about our Notre Dame-Arkansas rivalry, but then not texting me once after we got blown out and fired our coach. I appreciate the respect of like not rubbing it in, but listen, you're right. The style points absolutely matter here. Notre Dame needs to get in, and if there's a plethora of 2-loss teams, they're going to be in the mix without a conference championship to play in. So this is really important, and they need USC to win out too. They need style points here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Freeman lay it on here if they absolutely have to do it. Now, both defense.
They don't have many games where like everyone's going to be watching, and like this is like there's only a couple, and like this is as close as it gets. That's how easy their schedule is the rest of the way.
I think
USC.
The thing for me is like you just put a 50 burger up on Arkansas when you didn't need to, and you did. Are you going to put a 50 burger up on the Boise defense, which you absolutely can? Both defenses are pretty horrendous in allowing drives and points. Boise's 127th in defensive finishing drives. Just cross the 40, you're going to get a touchdown. Can Boise stop the potent zone read of Price and Love? Probably not. Mild success rate, but look at their strength of schedule, 110th. I don't. Notre Dame's defense needs to improve. They really need to limit Boise to about 17 points in this game. But I really actually
I think they can. I think their defense is already hit rock bottom for that Arkansas game. Leonard Moore's going to be back here, so I think that they'll probably force Maddox Madsen, who puts the ball in harm's way, to a couple turnovers, and then this will get ugly.
I think if you have a book that offers it, I wouldn't be surprised to see Notre Dame go over 49.5 here. I think a 50 burger on this scoreboard at the end of this day is something that they want to put up there again consecutively.
Yeah, and Freeman, sometimes his teams struggle with like the sleepy spots against G5 teams. This isn't one of those, right? Like Boise State was a playoff
NIU.
So they'll be ready for this game.
This is a brand name.
Yeah, and this isn't like NIU trying to bleed out the clock the entire game. All right, Kentucky at Georgia. Georgia, 20.5 point favorite here, total 48.5. Kirby Smart is like the worst big favorite of all time. I already mentioned before, he's 0-15 against the spread as a favorite of 38 or more. Well, as a favorite of 20 or more against SEC teams, he's 8-17 against the spread, including 0-7 in his last 7. Doesn't usually show much. I mean, and we know Kentucky and Stoops is just, they're going to play a ton of zone. They're going to try and take away the explosive play. They're going to try and shorten this game. So my first thought would be an under here. Do I want to lay it with Georgia? Not really. I mean, Stockton hasn't been that great against zone defense. His numbers are much better against man, which worries me. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on market, but for how I see this playing out, I could see an under 48.5. What are you seeing here? Anything?
Yeah, I think Josh, I like a Josh McCray anytime TD. He's just a red zone tank. He's got 10 rushes, 10 red zone rushes. I think he's worth a flyer for an anytime TD. But the question is can the Kentucky offense challenge where Georgia can't defend? Georgia has a horrible pass rush. They only send 4 and they don't get pressure. Their defensive passing success rate is 118th, and they have a coverage grade of 93rd. Is Kentucky going to challenge that? They weren't going to. No, absolutely not. Cutter Boley is not going to challenge that. 4 turnover-worthy plays against South Carolina. I mean, this passing offense of Kentucky does not have what it takes to attack Georgia where they're weakest. And the defense is havocless. 129th. They're just going to play. What are they going to back all 11 up and play an 11-man shell? EPA outside the top 85 against rushing and passing explosives. I mean, it's. I don't know. The numbers are not pointing. I know you pointed out the Kirby trend, but at least 8 of those were covers. I mean, Georgia hasn't had much success in creating explosives, but I think this is something where they line up an inside zone and they run an inside zone up against a Kentucky defense that's only been 41% success rate. That's why I do like probably running back props here. I think Bowens is due, but McCray has been the red zone tank. If you can get a McCray anytime TD, I'd take that.
Yeah, this is how this plays out usually compared to what your first thought would be. Your first thought is Georgia's angry. They're playing a bad team. But at all, 65% of the time, historically, these teams off of a top 15 loss in a top 15 team versus top 15 team, the next week when they're a big favorite, they almost always come out flat. And this is a noon kick? So
it's a run the ball game.
Yeah.
It's a Georgia run.
I don't think Georgia's going to come out with their hair on fire, and they could, but that's usually not how these things transpire. Speaking of potential under, Minnesota at Ohio State. Ohio State 23.5 point favorites. I mean, this is a potential flat spot for Ohio State. I could just see them. They went on the road. They got that huge win at Washington. A lot of people were calling for potential upset. This total,
including us.
Yes, this total keeps coming down, man. Wish I got this. Wish I already bet this. But number one, how's Minnesota going to score?
Yeah,
I don't know. Number two, so what Minnesota's going to try to do is shorten this game. They're always a snail. They're going to try and shorten this game as much as possible. Is Darius Taylor playing?
I've not seen an update.
I don't know if
it's
Taylor's back. Yeah. I haven't seen. Flex usually hush on those things. Regardless, I can't see them doing much. We also don't talk enough about Ohio State and how slow they've been for the past 2 years. Ohio State last year was a snail. This year they are so slow. It's insane. So the tempo of this game is going to be incredibly slow. Market's coming down on this, but It's 43.5. I think the only team slower from a seconds per play basis this year than Ohio State is UL Monroe, and they're like behind like Navy and Vandy.
Ohio State is 31.2 seconds per play.
They're super snail. So yeah, I could see Minnesota trying to take away the explosive play on D, and then they're going to try and shorten this game even more than they usually do.
You're right; they're 134th.
It's insane. So I'd strongly lean to under. I'm close to market on the spread. I could see Ohio State being a little flat to start, but I don't see the Minnesota offense having much success. I just can't see the path. Do you see anything there?
The Minnesota strength of schedule really kind of shades their numbers. I mean, they beat Rutgers by 3, a Cal loss, Northwestern State, Buffalo. I'm struggling to find the identity. And then when you don't have DT, potentially because of his hamstring, it kind of clouds things even more. The team is still 97th in offensive finishing drives, despite playing this kind of cake schedule. They're one of the worst in FBS in creating a run over 10 yards. That's not going to be helped any this week. And the Ohio State D is top 5 in everything. Success rate, EPA, third down defense, which the third down defense being 4th nationally. Like, does Minnesota create like 2 first downs in a drive in this game? I'm not really sure. And so
proving it against that electric Washington offense, which has like a future pro quarterback, a pro running back, a pro wide receiver. Like, Texas has its issues, but seeing it against that Washington offense, that D is legit.
Yeah, to me, this is the same game that was played 2 years ago when Ryan Day won 37-3. There's overlook, if you want to call it overlook. Illinois was supposed to be a somebody. I guess they are again with a win over USC. But a matchup against, Burt and the size of Illinois and all that on the road is much bigger than this. And I think the score of 37, if I had to name it exactly, I'd say 37-3 from what we had 2 years ago is exactly what's going to happen here. But, Ryan Day has a chance to put it up.
That's great. Maybe we'll have to bet an exact score prop, because that was my prediction, 37-3.
Oh, yeah, that's what the score was 2 years ago. I mean, Ryan Day had a chance to put it up on him, but 40 total points.
All right. Lean under there. Texas Tech at Houston. Texas Tech 11.5-point favorite. Looks like Baron Morton will play. Houston's really beat up. They got a lot of injuries last week. They were very lucky to win at Oregon State.
They're so bad.
Their pass defense looks good. They're not going to be able to block Texas Tech here, so I can't see them moving the ball. This looks like an under to me.
The Houston offense is a disaster.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to block Texas Tech up front.
No.
So 51's the key at 51.5. This looks like an under to me.
Yeah. Well,
Texas Tech, Houston's going to try to run the ball. They're going to try and shorten this game.
Like, Baron Morton has a neck injury. Why is he even in the game? What, to hand off? Like, to me, this is a Jacoby Williams, Cameron Dickey game. Like, and that's how you get your under. But at the same time, Houston, the offense is a disaster. I
just can't see their offense so much.
Did you know Connor Weigman has 55 pressures and 125 dropbacks? Like,
their O-line's a mess. They have injuries, and they're not going to. Then Texas Tech is the best D-line in the Big 12 by a million miles.
Well, I think under is the play, but I think the better play might be Houston's team total under, and then go around and just maybe bet a Jacoby Williams or Cameron Dickey prop. But Houston's offense.
Yeah. Anything in Virginia at Louisville? For what it's worth, Louisville is 6.5-point favorite here. Tony Elliott has 10-1 against the spread as a dog of 7+ in conference games.
Yeah.
I want to play Louisville on the spot.
So do I.
But they're just not, and their D has been really good. And it looks like Virginia will be without their stud center again, although the kid who shifted over there played really well last week. For Louisville, I've loved what I've seen from their defense.
They can't run the ball.
Yeah, but their backs just aren't fully healthy yet. So, like, their backs, they have one of the best backfields in the country. They're playing. Watson Brown are playing, but they're not healthy. So, like, when are they going to get healthy? And then I think you're going to see this offense take off. Like, even their wide receivers are hurt. So, like, they're gutting through these wins and finding a way to win. But their offense and their rushing numbers all look bad because the backs aren't at 100%. So, I can't fully trust them. here. So this is probably a pass. We'll be rooting for Louisville. And then I think which is huge, is that if they just squeak out this game, get a bye week, get healthier, Braum as a dog is always worth a look at Miami. If Miami's still undefeated, they'll be worth a look there. But I got to stay away just because I need to see the full health from all the weapons on Louisville.
Yeah, if we get some positive news on that health, I would want to back Louisville, but I'm sure
I make it like 7.5. I make it slightly over 7. So
I make it 10.
I'm
that's
7.8.
full health. But yeah, I think here's one thing that bothers me about when I was doing all the numbers for all the games. It's like, how is Virginia 11th and havoc allowed with Chandler Morris as the quarterback? Like, I had to go back and
wasted all his turnovers
and
throwing the game against Army.
Right now,
Louisville, North Texas.
Louisville is graded as the number 1 pass rush per PFF. So
yeah, their D line is nasty.
Is that Virginia havoc allowed at 11th? Is that going to take a serious tumble after this game? So that's kind of what I've been thinking with this one.
I could see it, but Virginia's offense is real. Like they hit on their portal guys, and it's based on their numbers, adjusting for opponent. It's real. All right, but I still don't fully trust their defense. All right, Duke Cal. I kind of lean Cal catching 3. My fear from a spot perspective, both teams are traveling across the country. Cal played at BC, Duke played at Syracuse. That negates that travel a little bit. My fear is that JKS, he still takes too many sacks, and that can be problematic against Duke.
Yeah.
He holds on to the ball too long, so it might kill too many drives with too many negative plays, but would lean their way at +3. Some quarterback injuries worth noting. Is it Cam Fancher time? Again, for UCF, both their quarterbacks might be hurt. They have some injuries worth watching against Kansas. Akron, I don't know. Is Finley going to play against Central Michigan? I don't know. He was a surprise scratch last week. They were a disaster. Their backup quarterbacks against Toledo. They threw it like 24 times for 70 yards. And Akron had a bunch of other starters out there, running back, their safety, their linebacker. Kansas State, their receivers, it looks like they are going to play at Baylor. Wisconsin, it looks like Billy Edwards is not going to play. So it's going to be O'Neal. Wisconsin's unbettable when he plays at Michigan. Buffalo looks like Roberson will play at quarterback. There's some tough spots for Penn State. Penn State, again, off that big loss, big top 5 game, and then head across country to play UCLA. Usually you come out flat. Even though you'd think they'd come out angry, usually you come out flat. Although UCLA can't get pressure, so maybe they just fire their OC. It's a mess. Washington, tough spot coming across country to take on Maryland after that marquee game. A lot of injuries to watch with Washington as well. There's also high wins in the Nebraska-Michigan State game, which is why that total has come down. See anything in any of those games I mentioned? I think you played UCLA.
Yeah, I did play UCLA. Penn State had a serious issue going west and playing against USC last year. Sort of a letdown spot. And look, Franklin has not covered games this year whatsoever. I think UCLA, after the firing of Deshaun Foster, they're going to progressively get better week by week for the guys that haven't entered the portal and the guys that are there to make themselves better. This will be a theme next week when we start talking about Arkansas again. What are you playing for? You're playing for a better dollar value in the portal. And I think
you're playing for the Outback, the pride of the Outback Bowl.
So I don't see Penn State having a need to run this up that much. And they had problems playing on the West Coast last year. I mean, they needed some Tyler Warren heroics to get out of there alive. And I'm not saying it's going to be that close, but I think we've hit the bottom of the barrel as far as the market is concerned on UCLA.
Hey, UCLA covered was one of my 2 wins I had last week. UCLA, they didn't quit. Under Skipper, they're fighting. Like they could have folded in that Northwestern game. They were down. I forget what the score was, 17-3 at one point. Mm-hmm. But they fought, came back. They were fighting. I think they'll continue to fight for him. All right. By the way, if you're new here, the Action Network app, the award-winning Action Network app, it's free. And if you don't have it, you are missing out on the full BBOC betting experience. And if you never want to miss a bet from myself, Colin, Duck, or the whole squad, use code BBOC20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro access. Promise you it's worth it. All right, it's time for some trash. All right, it's time for some trash. Been pushing money back and forth with these. 60% lifetime on the show, tracking the trash. This is usually when these start to take off for me. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to do that this year, but let's get into some. Let's start Purdue against Illinois. Give me the 9.5. This is one of the spots of the year. Illinois, 6th straight game in 6th straight week. They're off 2 emotional games against Indiana and against USC. And last week, they looked great against USC. They caught USC in a dream spot themselves. Noon kick or 11 a.m. local kick. USC played the latest kickoff time the week before. Meanwhile, and by the way, did I mention that Illinois has Ohio State coming to town next week? Sandwich City. Meanwhile, Purdue coming off a bye. That's really important to me for teams that have a brand new staff and a brand new roster. No one has more of a brand new staff and brand new roster than Purdue. Purdue's been feisty. Ryan Brown's been playing well. I still don't trust this Illinois team. This is the same Illinois team that got pantsed by Indiana, an Indiana team that almost lost to Iowa. So the battle for the cannon. Dogs have usually historically barked in this series. Purdue is significantly improved. I like the Boilers plus 9.5. For what it's worth, last year in a similar spot in the game sandwiched between a bunch of ranked teams, Illinois, even coming off of a bye against the corpse of Purdue that won one game, they won 50-49 in overtime. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball against this Illinois defense. It still has some holes. They're still without Xavier Scott. And Illinois, eventually regression is going to hit this team. I mean, so far they're perfect on 4th downs. They're plus 5 turnovers. Purdue's -5. And by the way, this year these teams have both had tough schedules. They're basically dead even in net yards per play. Boilermakers have a higher quality drive rate. So, give me Purdue for what it's worth. Road conference favorites of more than a touchdown on normal rest following a win over a ranked opponent. 45% over the past 20 seasons. And the Illinois, this is probably meaningless, but it's just crazy. The Illini are the least profitable favorite of 10 or fewer points in college football over the past 20 seasons. They're 16-37-1 against the spread. The worst by far, 30%. It's meaningless to this game, but that's Ron Zook, by the way, if you remember him. Give me Purdue.
Ron Zook. We're actually mentioning the Zooker. I think the over is the better play in this game. But I do lean Purdue. If we could have got 10, it's at 9.5. So I'm going to pass on putting this on the board with you. But at the same time, I agree with your bet. Purdue is top 25 in creating quality drives. They are very good, top 35 in passing success rate, and Illinois has severely struggled in coverage. So I think Purdue gets their points. And it's a bad spot for Illinois. I just wish we could have got 10.
All right. We're going back to the Ohio fade. I'm going with Ball State. This Ohio defense remains trash. I'm going to hear from my guys, I know, on the call, my Ohio fans who call in. But this is too many points for Ball State. They're going to run. They're basically an option team. You look at their run splits, their how slow they are. This is a hard number. This is basically like laying 2 touchdowns against an option team. This Ohio team, I like Navarro. I like Chase Hendricks, but this is too many points, too difficult to cover for what's going to be a slow-paced game. Ball State coming off of a bye. Again, brand new team, brand new staff. I think that's important here. The Ohio run defense is missing a couple key pieces, and they have some late down kind of regression coming. They're outside the top 100 in success rate, but they're top 10 on late downs. That's not going to keep up. This defense has major, major holes. Too many points. By the way, for what it's worth, Ohio has been the most profitable team against the spread over the past 2 seasons, 12-3 against the spread. 9 straight covers against non-FCS teams. But give me basically the option Ball State team at home. Yes, Ohio cost us last week, but Bowling Green still almost covered with a pick six, a tipped pick six, another pick in the red zone, and then Drew Pine gets hurt, is out for a drive. The backup comes in, fumbles it, leads to a short field touchdown. Like, just massive swings in that game. Bowling Green had 300 yards in the first half with Drew Pine. They were gashing them at will. Then Pine came back in. He was hobbled the rest of the way. They blitzed him, and he couldn't do anything about it. Mobile quarterback here. Running game. Shorten this game. Off the bye. Give me Ball State. Anything over 2 touchdowns.
Put it on the board against each other. I'm going to take Ohio 14.5. That's the number of draft.
Head-to-head, baby. By the way, head-to-head, I'm 3-1 this year with Clemson to not win the SEC, so you need this one.
I like the Bobs here. I mean, they've played a tougher strength of schedule. They've got a top 10 defense as far as defensive finishing drives. the Ball State offense and this option offense is still bottom 10 nationally in rushing success rate. They may be doing something a little funky with the triple option, but it's not getting anything done. They're heavy rushing, 67%. You look at the Ohio offense, like I said, stronger strength of schedule. They're top 25 in overall EPA and top 35 in quality drives. They're going to get it down the field. And Ball State's bottom 10 in allowing quality drives on defense. I don't see Ohio having that many problems here. So, and I make it 15.5. So we'll go ahead and go head to head here.
Head to head, baby. All right, moving on. We're going to go with next up. We are going. Hold on, I lost my spot. All right, we're going UAB against Army. This Army team is way down. Like, their tackles are way down. They don't have Bryson Daly at quarterback. Their defense has been playing without their nose tackle, and in total, 9 of the top 15 snap counters from last year. This UAB offense is good. I know they're going to be without Corey Milner, one of the better receivers, but they were still fine against Tennessee. They're coming off of a bye week here. Why is that important? Well, their defensive coordinator came from Air Force. He knows the option. They already faced the Service Academy earlier this year. And even if they can't slow down Army, they can match scores here. I like UAB +7, +7.5. Either one's fine.
I just don't see how Army stops them from scoring. Like, I'm trying to make a case against you, and I can't. Now, UAB's defense is horrific, but without the pieces that Army has on offense, then how much is that worth? Is Army still plug and play, or is it now quarterback dependent with the kind of offensive style that they run?
They miss him for sure. They miss Daly, and the tackles are so important in that offense for communication and calling out things. And their tackles are way down. Their offensive line is way down from the unit that won the Joe Moore Award, and their line coach is now coaching Central Michigan, and this defense has taken a step back as well. So, like, even if they can't get stops, and I think UAB might be able to get some stops. Like, they were feisty against Navy at times, and they have 2 weeks to prepare. They have a defensive coordinator who knows the option. They've already faced the Service Academy. So I think there's a lot of intangibles here working for UAB. Kitna will move the ball against this Army team is not getting any pressure either, and they're not going to be able to cover on the back end. They lost 18 of their 25 sacks from last year. A couple guys went to Power 5 teams, so I like the Blazers.
So officially, I'm not going to join you, but I would take a UAB team total over. I can't trust a UAB defense that got throttled by Akron. Our Army could.
Were you laying points with the UAB in that game? You guys were all running to bet UAB as a favorite. Now you won't bet them as a dog. You bet them as a dog, not as a favorite.
No, you bet them to score. That's what they did against Tennessee.
All right. UAB's treated me well this year. So I'm now Team Trent Dilfer until they don't cover this.
You're a team of one.
Yep. All right. Next up, we're going with Wyoming against UNLV. I think the whole world knew I was going to fade Wyoming here. Fade UNLV here. UNLV, the most fraudulent 4-0 team in the country. They have beat Sam Houston, an FCS school, UCLA, barely, and then Miami, Ohio. And again, they were going to get blown out until Miami, Ohio's quarterback got hurt. And still, with the backup, they were about to win, and then they fumbled. This UNLV team is a complete fraud. Now you're going to Laradice. It's going to be windy, cold at night for this indoor UNLV team. UNLV can't stop the run. Wyoming has found something with this freshman running back. He's going to run all over them. It's going to be your classic Wyoming upset win at home. The fraud of UNLV gets exposed. Keep an eye out for Samuel Harris, this freshman back. He had 19 carries against Colorado. He only had 18 over the first 3 weeks. He's averaging 7 yards per carry. I think he'll have a really productive day. The UNLV's outside the top 100 rush success rate, bottom 10 in rush EPA, and they've played clowns. By the way, UNLV, extremely fortunate on late downs of both sides of the ball. Third downs, they've converted 52%. Opponents are 21%. But they're basically they're outside the top 100 in like early down stuff. Even though they played clowns, they're +6 in turnovers. I mean, it gets no more fraudulent than UNLV. So yeah, give me Wyoming. By the way, Wyoming 13-1 against the spread, 93% as a home conference dog of more than a field goal over the past 10 years. They're covering by 12 points per game in that spot. They've won 8 of those 14 games outright with an average spread of 11. Classic Laradice. Give me the Pokes.
No. Wyoming cannot defend the run at all. I mean, look, is UNLV a fraud? Yes. In 2 weeks.
Now you want to back? Do you want to back them laying points on the road in
In
Laramie?
2 weeks, I project Boise by 11, and I would take that all the way up to 18, maybe 21. That's how bad I think. That's how much I think UNLV is frauds. But at the same time, I'm going to pass on this because I want UNLV to eke this out, and then I want them to eke out next week. Who was it? I just saw that they play next week. Like I need a couple of soft victories here.
We're gonna miss it. They're gonna lose this game.
Air Force. They're hosting Air Force next week, right? And that defense, that's not even a JV defense.
By the way, the Navy Air Force, I can't even play under 52.5 just because Air Force, they're arena team now. I was shocked. I made it 51.5.
So I'm passing here. I need UNLV to get 2 soft wins, and then we are going to hammer Boise. If you can get a look ahead line on that somewhere, Boise, UNLV in 2 weeks. Holy cow.
Laradice, baby.
Holy cow.
All right. Last one, Nevada. +14 at Fresno. This is the perfect opportunity to buy the Wolfpack. Coming off of a bye for the conference opener. They have Fresno's off a bye too, but Nevada has the better coaching staff, in my opinion, the better head coach. So I think the bye week will be more beneficial for them. You want to talk about teams that are living different lives. One has been extremely lucky. One has been extremely unlucky. So when you look at the records of this team, it might look like 4-1 Fresno versus 1-3 Nevada. It easily could be 2-3 Fresno versus 3-1 Nevada. Fresno has their last 2 wins. They trailed in the fourth quarter. They got outgained. They got outgained by 220 yards to Oregon State. And then you have Nevada, who was up 13-0 late in the fourth quarter against Middle Tennessee, gave up two late touchdown drives that were sandwiched between missed field goal, and then fumble. They also outgained Western Kentucky, led in the fourth quarter in that game. So this easily could be 2-3 Fresno versus 3-1 Nevada. This is a big number for Fresno to cover in a matchup of 2 slow-paced teams that want to run the ball. Nevada's been absolutely dreadful in the red zone, but I trust Choke to fix that. They were great there last year. Maybe some positive regression in that aspect. So this is just way too many points in what should be an uglier game. And for what it's worth, since 2005, no team in college football has cost more bettors as a double-digit home conference favorite than Fresno State. They're 13-27-1 against the spread, 32%, failing to cover by nearly a touchdown per game. No one's afraid of the Valley. Give me the Wolfpack +14. Chubba Purdy season.
Yeah, I've already bet Nevada +14 if you want to put it on the board of agreement. I also, early in the week, one of the first hits I took was under here. Very slow pace of play. Oof.
Now, I mean, you want to also talk like this. One team's been lucky, the other team hasn't. Like Purdy has 1-6 touchdown interception rate with a 2-7 big time throw to turnover worthy play rate. Warner has a worse ratio of big time throws to turnover worthy plays, but he has 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's it. These 2 teams are not this far apart, and this game should be ugly. And like I agree with you, low scoring. So I put Nevada on the board. All right, that'll do it for trash. Purdue, UAB, Ball State, Wyoming, and Nevada. Let's get it done. All right, before we get out of here, let's go. 3 and out. All right, we got some Friday night lights. Go through these quickly. Western Kentucky at Delaware. I mean, Western Kentucky continues to get lucky week in and week out. Delaware looks like they might be the best team in the conference, and they're not eligible to win it. Lean Delaware there, especially under 3. Charlotte at South Florida. It's South Florida or nothing. Charlotte has more injuries. I think South Florida can name it here. New Mexico at San Jose State. I actually might buy the dip on San Jose State. I got unlucky last week against Stanford. I know you disagree there. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. West Virginia at BYU. I'm close to market, but with all the West Virginia injuries, I can't play them. It would be BYU or nothing there. Any thoughts on those before we get to your Aztecs?
Delaware, I think they're going to own the line of scrimmage with the rush. That could be the reason that you can get under. If you can find 62 out there, I think under 62, that's the key where it's going to pop. But, these teams are really fast, but at the same time, neither teams can tackle. But I think Delaware is going to really rush on them and own the line of scrimmage. I even wrote it in my notes here. I expect the USF line to get 28.5 and for the market to be resistance and market to have resistance. But the Bulls are going to be able to name it. Same thing you said. I think the Bulls are going to be able to name whatever score that they want. The West Virginia BYU, the quarterback situation is just dire here, right?
Yeah, Markel's out for a couple weeks.
Nico's
I've been
out.
super impressed with Bachmeyer, by the way, for a true freshman.
Jalen Henderson's out. I thought his legs were going to be worth something. Redshirt freshman Khalil Wilkins is going to get the start here. He rushed for 39 yards against Utah in the second half. His backup is a true freshman, Scotty Fox for West Virginia. Like
West Virginia is decimated. The injuries at wide receiver, injuries all over. It's a mess.
I mean, because this Khalil Wilkins kid can run a little bit, I'd be tempted to take West Virginia if it got to 21, but I don't think I'd be tempted enough to play it. I don't know. That's tough. New Mexico, San Jose State, the over. I think San Jose State, they're just dead last in defending the pass. There's no havoc. You're calling Air Force an arena team. Does Air Force and San Jose State play each other? What's that score going to be? 1,000?
I think they play each other. The total.
Yeah, I mean,
Air Force total in the 80s.
And the offense runs 24 seconds per play. I mean, San Jose State is extremely fast.
Yeah, imagine the Air Force total in the 80s. Yeah, they're at San Jose State early November.
Let me see what I don't know how I'm only projecting 56 points, but yeah, the defenses in those two teams are horrible. But yeah, I like the over there, New Mexico, San Jose State.
And then going nowhere fast, San Diego State hosting Colorado State. This looks like it could be another ugly one. Any thoughts there on the total?
Yeah, I took over 40.5. I take over 41 if you can find it. Colorado State has 0 pass rush and a coverage grade outside the top 100. And I said this 2 weeks ago. Jaden Denegal, he just wants to throw deep. San Diego State is bottom 10 in passing success rate. They're top 25 in pass explosives. That's just one of the more crazy things I've ever seen. And Colorado State runs at about 25 seconds per play. So we're over the key of 41.
I can't join you there. Right, second down, our favorite overdog, favorite. I'm going to go with Arizona. Minus 20, I think is out there. Oklahoma State is the worst. I have them ranked. I would have them tomorrow on a neutral field underdog to Western Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad I have them. They're on a different. They're the worst offense and the worst defense. You adjust for opponent. They're all the way with all the Power 4 teams. They're all the way by themselves with both. It is pathetic. Now, they fired their defensive coordinator. You know who's going to take over? It's an offensive quality control coach who spent the last 4 years coaching high school. This is the offensive quality control coach. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more portal exits before this game. Their starting safety already left. This is a disaster. And they're going to go fast. Arizona should be able to do whatever they want. I expect a focused effort here after last week. And this has blowout written all over. I don't know. This team is so bad. This is Arizona 58-0 written all over it.
I mean, we're getting to this point of the podcast and I'm still tweening here. Like I am in between a decision about South Alabama because Troy is a complete fraud. Lost the box score against Buffalo.
No, this is your favorite. You're going with A&M.
Oh, I'm going favorite. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was jumping.
You're not even listening to me. You just let me ramble and you just stare.
Because I'm still thinking about who my underdog's going to be. A&M's the easiest overdog of the week.
Yeah. Colin and I, we talked about it. Or talked about the game earlier. Arizona and A&M. All right, so I'll give you time to think about your underdog money line parlay. So let's go to third down. Favorite money line underdog. We are 4-8 on these this year. Overall, 89-135 plus 16.7 units. I'm going with Florida State. Mario, please Mario for me. Where are you going?
I'm trying to make a decision between Vandy, Purdue, or going super short with South Bama.
South Bama.
Okay, we're going to go South Bama. Troy's a complete fraud. Lost the box score against Buffalo. Lost 2 other games. They are a broken team. Completely broken. South Alabama.
All right, we're going with the Jaguars and the Seminoles. That'll do it for us. We'll be back with our recap episode on Monday morning, featuring the best of your deranged voicemails. 959 Bad Beat. Don't forget about it. Call and yell at us for all of our bad picks. And make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. And if you want to tail some of the bets we discussed today, look for the quick slip link in the video and podcast description or visit actionnetwork.com/bet-now. Make sure you check out at Playbook. Thanks to our sponsor, Draftkings. Thanks to Colin for joining me. Thanks to our producer, David, on the back end. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. We love all of you. Let's have a big weekend. We'll see you Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern for the live show. Make sure you check out the Group of Five guys and their episode. But thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you all later. Cheers.
Peace out.